Hi everyone and welcome to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the EVE Online markets. I'm your host, delonewolf. And the live events are back, so I'm starting to get back into shipbuilding for myself rather than trying to sell all of them on the market. Unfortunately, in my experience so far, the Talos is so paper thin and tends to get primaried so often that I'll probably try and do the next one in a Vexor that's a little less conspicuous and might have a bit of a better tank than what the Talos had. Anyways, we'll have a look at the markets for today. Let's start off with the usual, the titanium, all the minerals. And let's have a look at that chart. Once again, pretty stable there, maybe a slight downtrend over the very long run, but nothing too special. And whoops. Let's have a quick look at the price in station 608 for the sellers and 598 for the buyers, so still no margin. I'm gonna quickly go over pyrite, which is the same, holding up, and Mexalon, which I expect to be, well, there was a slight uptrend here, but at the tail end it's just flattening off. And let's have a quick look at the margin for Mexalon, which is the most expensive. So if a margin starts to show in the low-end minerals, I would expect it to be in Mexalon. But the sellers are at 62.78, buyers 61.51, so that's one ISK margin, and that's really not enough to say that there's anything special going on there. This is just supply and demand, and everything seems pretty stable in these low-end minerals. So moving on, I'll have a look at my Talos, since in order to fund the rest, a few more live event ships. I'm trying to sell 4 of them, and after a correction that dipped below 80 million, it's now back on a slight uptrend since I'd say around September 10th. Let's have a look at the prices here in station 81,500 for the sellers and 77,500 for the buyers, which I just come from the Dixie. It's around 3 million more on the sell orders than it is in the Dixie. So yeah, moving ships to Jita instead of the Dixie, it takes quite a lot of travel time, but it can mean around 3 million extra profit per ship. So that's something to keep in mind in case you're trying to sell Galente ships. I would expect these to be lower in the Dixie, simply because there are more BPOs available close by. People will focus on producing what's easier there, and in general there's probably a lower price in Galente space for Galente ships compared to Caldari space. And of course the main trade hub Jita, it sets like total average price, and I think that's the reason why the Talos is higher here than in the Dixie. Maybe a quick look at the Tech 3 markets. Tengu 191, 192 for sellers, 183 for buyers. So yeah, that downtrend is continuing, and people are, I guess, trying to adapt to all the rumors of nerfs to Tech 3 and the upcoming nerfs to heavy missiles. I'll have a look at the Drake as well, which is holding up after a serious dip at the end of August. Let's have a quick look at those prices. 47 million, 46,500. So it looks like the Drake has already stabilized, but the Tengu keeps going down. Yeah, that could be speculation on changes to the Tech 3 market there. Tengu, of course, being one of the most popular Tech 3s, no, the most popular Tech 3, I should say. It's a fleet doctrine in 0-0, and it's an awesome PvE ship. So yeah, it's pretty normal that this is the busiest market and that it will move the most. What else did I have? Well, I'll have a quick look at the Omen, which is slightly on the uptrend, which is rumored to have a serious buff. You can see some higher data points there as well. So yeah, it could be indeed that there is some speculation going on about the changes, the upcoming changes into winter expansion to ships. Galente fuel blocks are finally stabilizing, although they're stabilizing at around, I would say, 13,000 ISK, coming from 21,000 ISK, so that took a serious nosedive. Yeah, 12,700 ISK per fuel block. So let's have a quick look at the 1 year chart. I'm trying to see, well, I would say that this is not a good time to sell, but rather a good time to either buy or produce, because you'll be able to pick up extra PI stuff on the low side probably, or maybe some ice products on the low end. And at some point, you know, my expectation would be maybe they'll announce like the new POS changes for the summer expansion. Oh, you'll see quite a rise in POS fuels then. So that's sort of the psychology that I'm looking into, is what can I expect for changes that can have an impact on the prices. Right now it's very low. You can see it's definitely on the bottom of the 1 year chart, even from when they were launched. So, you know, if I have some Galente fuel blocks and I'm producing them, so keeping an eye in the news on any POS related news can be very important, because that could mean a change in the price in POS fuels, and could mean a serious opportunity considering the low prices we have now. Yeah, that all looks pretty stable though. So let's have a look at those Plex prices. Ouch, they're continuing to rise. That's pretty obvious. Let's have a look at the 3-month chart. Yeah, that's continuing to go up. 555 million ISK for the sellers, 535 million for the buyers. I don't think there's that much extra compared to previous week. I think previous one was around 550 or something like that. So although the uptrend on the chart is pretty visible, it's not as pronounced, which is a bit surprising because I wrote it down. As you know, I bought 2 Plex. Oops, here we go. I bought 2 Plex Indo-Dixie for 520 million, and the sell orders Indo-Dixie have now become 566 million, and the buy orders 520 million. So if I picked them up at buy orders of 520. Which you won't be able to do now anymore, and for sell orders I could be looking at close to 40 million profit per Plex already. I'm going to hold on because as I've said, I expect these prices to continue to rise. I think if I keep a close eye on it and I time it right, I expect that I might be able to sell them for like 600 million. At the highest point. It does mean that I'll have to keep a close eye on the market, because 600 million, that's going to be one of those psychological barriers where people are going to start dumping their Plexes for profits. But yeah, I think it's a price we'll see. It's a difficult. I don't have a magic crystal ball, but yeah, I would say we might see 600 million. By the time the next expansion hits. So we'll have to wait and see, of course, but it's looking pretty good for my Plex investment so far in Indo-Dixie. And that's gonna be it for this week's look at the market, guys. If you have any other goods or ships or stuff you want me to look at in the next episode, post it down in the comments. I will try and cover those then as well. But for now, I'll see you all next time.